This is the brand new Nebula X1 projector, but to call it a projector would be unfair. This is a cinema in a bottle, and it's unquestionably the most advanced portable projector that I've ever used because it features a ton of tech that I can bet my left shoe that you'll have never seen in a projector before, like water cooling, for example. But we'll come back to that later because I want to take you back to earlier this year when Nebula sent me an email and asked if I'd like to take a look at their latest prototype, the X1. Now, obviously, the answer was yes. I love getting to see behind the curtain. It's one of the perks of the job. But little did I expect a box the size of a small coffin to land on my doorstep. Thankfully, the projector was not the size of that box. In it, however, was not just a projector, but some mystery speakers. These, and some microphones, and a few other little goodies. But I was most intrigued by the main piece of tech, the X1. Whipping this out of the box revealed the signature Nebula design that we've been used to for the past few years. Compact, weighty, robust, yet friendly, with some simple curves and a ton of good design choices, including the hidden handle, which is stupidly simple, but utterly pleasurable. I could literally sit here all day and do that. I love stuff like this. But there's more hidden design like this, which I'll come back to later, but the real magic in design becomes apparent when you actually turn this device on. The moment you turn it on, it starts to scan its projection surface, and you'll notice that the front of the projector actually begins to move. This is because it has an internal gimbal capable of 25 degrees of adaptability, meaning that, in effect, you can have it much closer to the projection surface than you usually would, and it adapts automatically without an external gimbal. In fact, the adaptation is utterly insane on this device. It's got to be the most accurate autocorrection and adaptation that I've ever used before. Now, when Ryan was setting it up for the first time, it automatically corrected itself to project into the smallest little piece of available wall space that you could think of. Take a look, where it avoids projecting onto the bookcase and even the trim around the door to fit perfectly in the blank wall space. It's wild how good it is, and even more impressive is the speed. It's got a one-click system where when you press a button, it will automatically scan the wall for the first time just like you've seen. But outside of this, you get constant adjustments so that if there's any wobble or the projector gets slightly knocked, it will readjust in an instant. It's as if it's been made specifically to combat those annoying people that can't control your body who tend to knock things when they walk past. You know who you are. But seriously, it's super quick. Even holding it and moving it around a bit, you can see how fast it's trying to correct itself, even with the extreme movements. So rest assured, if your clumsy friend who's had too many scrumpy jacks decides to bumble themselves past this with the surface that it's on, you'll be back up and running before you even know what's happened. But another thing it has for correction is optical zoom. Now, this is a rare inclusion in a consumer level projector. Generally, this is only found in cinema grade devices. Why this is important is because it allows you to retain the quality of image within the zoom distance parameters. For example, if you had two 4K projectors, a fixed lens one and one capable of optical zoom, and stood them away 2 meters from a screen, the quality would be similar. Now, if you moved them back, say another 3 meters, this changes things massively. With the fixed lens projector, the image will be blown out over the size of the projection screen, but likely there's a digital adjuster to shrink that image. But this means that, say you've had to shrink it by half, the image won't be making use of the full 4K resolution, and instead will be half the resolution that it's capable of, giving you a worse picture than you had when it was 2 meters away. With this and the optical zoom, you can use lens optics to shrink the image, which means that you retain 100% of the resolution despite being further away. This type of technology is so important And it's amazing that it isn't a more common inclusion, especially in portable projectors. So it's fantastic that Nebula are including this feature in the X1, and it makes it a much more versatile device in its placement whilst retaining the quality of picture. But as for picture, well, it's nothing short of fantastical. We set one up on the biggest screen we could find to watch a few films and really test its capability, and I was astounded by the quality. But before I could sit down, I actually discovered something quite amazing.
It is so bright that is what it looks like on the back, and the projector is there. That is insane. Like, I've never ever seen a projector that I've tested outdoors that can be almost as bright on the rear as it can be on the front. Wow, that's incredible. And that just goes to show how good this projector is. But looking at that image, it is incredible. It's impeccable. Honestly, I've never seen a portable projector quite as good a quality as this. It has completely blown me out of the water. There's a lot of bugs here at the moment, but this is 140 inches, and that's not even as big as it can go. Supposedly this thing can project quite happily up to 300 inches, but unfortunately I don't have that level of equipment around to be able to do that. But even at 140 inches, this thing is just phenomenal quality, aided by the fact that it has that optical zoom. It's got that high contrast, it's got 4K visuals, the colour is astounding. I mean, my God, just look at it. You don't need me to tell you how good this is. You can probably see for yourself. Bear in mind, obviously, you're watching a screen that's projected onto a screen recorded by a camera, put through editing software, compressed, uploaded to YouTube, compressed again, streamed through the internet, and now you're watching it on an iPhone 3GS. So you're probably not really getting how good quality this is at all. But ignoring that fact, it is phenomenal. I'm going to go and sit down and enjoy it with some popcorn.
It really is one of the best projected images that I've seen at home, and this is probably down to some of the rather technical additions and advancements in Nebula 4K triple laser technology. Supposedly it has an industry first U-shaped laser optical path with a double pass speckle diffuser wheel and a second generation patented optical engine. It uses cinema grade glass lenses, 14 of them, to help minimise aberration and fringing and to create an image of superior clarity. This of course is all jargon buzzwords, but what I can tell you is that whatever they say they've done has amounted to a wonderfully clear, bright, vibrant and sharp image that is possibly unmatched in portable projectors. The clarity is unarguably astounding, with excellent detail both in the highlights and the shadows, despite being incredibly bright, and the image processing algorithm adapts to the content, dynamically adjusting the contrast for better picture. I genuinely don't think I've had a cinema experience quite like this from a portable projector before. If you showed me this image and told me it was from a portable projector, I'd spit in your face and tell you that you were lying, because I almost can't quite believe it myself, and I set this thing up. Seriously though, the display is so vivid and so bright that when one of the team was setting it up for the first time, it was a bit of an overcast day and I was sat nearby doing some writing. The moment he turned it on, it was as if someone had flashbanged the room. It took me a few seconds through squinted eyes to readjust to that insane level of brightness. Now, for the boffins out there, this projector is ISF and TUV certified, which means that it's been lab tested and independently verified for its excellent quality. So if you don't believe me on the picture quality, believe the men in white coats instead, because hopefully they know what they're talking about. But the thing is though, this level of picture quality usually comes with a sacrifice. Either the projector ends up being absolutely massive, or the projector's small but the internal thermals suffer considerably. Well, neither is true with the X1, thanks to some wild engineering that I mentioned at the start. the water cooling. Now, this is the first projector that I've used that has had water cooling inside, but the difference it's made to the audible noise of the projector is significant. The first time I used this, me and my team couldn't quite believe how quiet it was. From 5 centimeters away, it wouldn't even register on my sounder meter. It was quieter than a whisper. Hello, don't forget to subscribe. Wow. Generally, whatever you're watching on a projector will drown out the noise of the projector anyway, but in quiet scenes, it's always been quite noticeable. But with this, it was the most unnoticeable I've ever experienced before, and it's a massive positive and advertisement for the use of water cooling in projectors. Will this aid longevity of the internal components? I don't know. Obviously, we don't really have a lot of example of water-cooled projectors, but all I can say for now is that it's absolutely had not only a positive effect on the user experience, but also the design too. And that's because it's enabled this device to be smaller and more compact, meaning that it ticks the box of being a portable projector. Without this water cooling, it would need to be a much larger device to fit the fans in to deal with the thermals from the serious tech inside it. And if it had fans, it would be audibly a lot louder. So massive round of applause here for Nebula for this particular engineering feat. Now let's talk about the audio. This is where the X1 has some additional interesting bits of design. It has an internal speaker, but it's been designed to pair up with these weighty things, which are some satellite speakers. These have the same little design joys that I love with the main device. Take the feet, for example. These fold away neatly underneath for storage and transportation. And they're particularly dense and weighty, which aids them massively in the sound that comes out of them, which is also fantastic. Although, I must admit, I did expect nothing else, given the weight of them, for one, and also the fact that Anker, who own Nebula, also own Soundcore, who makes some of my favourite audio devices at the moment, so exceptional sound was absolutely on the cards. Now internally, they actually feature upwards drivers, side drivers, and front firing drivers. And the projector then can be used as a sub, creating a 4.1.2 surround sound experience from a relatively compact package. The juicy bit is these are completely wireless and have an internal battery with a runtime of 8 hours. Although I've charged them up after every single use so far, so I can't verify that necessarily. But unless you're watching an extended Lord of the Rings trilogy in one go, you'll probably never run out of battery. If they do, you can always just plug them into the rear of the projector with a USB-C to give them a charge. But there's a slight problem here with the design in that the Nebula only has one USB-C port on the back, meaning you can only charge one satellite speaker at a time with the USB-C. It's not the end of the world, but it's certainly an oddity that they didn't include the ability to charge both at the same time. What's also slightly unusual is the lack of battery in the X1. This means that although it's a portable device, you still need access to power to be able to run it. It is understandable given the extreme power of it. I think if there was an internal battery in this size, it would run out in about 5 minutes. But this is where something like the Solix portable batteries that I featured last year will come in. Using one of those would power the Nebula for extended cinema sessions, even away from the home environment. So it's not a massive deal. There are solutions. It's just something to consider. Because the satellite speakers are optional, I thought I'd show what it sounds like without them and then with them, so you can hear the difference the satellite speakers make to the fullness of the sound, especially at the low end when the main unit can feature as a sub. Now, one thing that you're probably wondering is how much is this state-of-the-art projection tech? Well, it's more than you'd hope for, but quite a bit less than the nearest device, or at least I think is the nearest competitor. I've been lucky enough to test this pre-release, so the pricing may change a little bit, but I believe the RRP of the projector on its own is somewhere in the region of $2,999, and the full kit, which is the carry case, the projector, the microphones and the speakers, is $3,998, which is not cheap by any sense of the word. Although there's 2 points here. Point one is that it's just released, and I believe that there's an early bird discount with around $700 off. Although I'd check the link in the description for the latest price to see if that's right. But point two, if we look across the market and compare its pricing with similar projectors from other manufacturers, the nearest competitor I think would be the Valerian VisionMaster, which we tried last year. They both share similar specs and tech such as the motorized lenses. But the Nebula is brighter, smaller, has better contrast ratio, is more vivid, features all glass lenses, has water cooling, and is designed to be portable. And when it comes to price, the X1 is around 25% cheaper than the Valerian. So to be that much cheaper but have specs that far exceed it, in my eyes, is incredible. It might still be an expensive device, but from a value perspective, I think it's fantastic. It is by far the best portable projector system we've ever tested here at STU'S Reviews as of May 2025. And because of that, I think it's absolutely worth the price. I get it though, at that price it's not going to be for everyone, but it is absolutely wicked. And if you have the money and are looking for something that stands out in portable cinema tech, this is where you should be applying your focus for sure. But what do you guys think? Is the Nebula X1 too expensive? Or do you think that for the pinnacle of portable cinema tech, it's worth that price? Let me know in the comments below so we can all have a good chinwag over it. And if you enjoyed today's episode and found it helpful in deciding if the X1 is for you or not, then make sure you hit that thumbs up and that subscribe button, and I'll see you back for another episode of STU'S Reviews soon.